Morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I wanted to hop on here today and just have a chat with Kristen Wesenberg. We met a few weeks ago through a mutual friend, and we had a great conversation. It was so great to get to know her and get to hear her story and some of the things that she's offering. And so I wanted to hop on and chat with her today. And oh, there you are, there you are. Let's see if I can get you to join in.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I just said goodbye to my brother who's heading back to Alberta now, and yeah, excited to dive in with you today.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. So, yeah, I was just quickly saying that we met a few weeks ago through Tamara, and she knew we would have a lot in common. And you and I had a great chat. And so I wanted to just, yeah, get you to share with other people your journey and what you're offering now and what you're stepping into.
Absolutely. Um, well, for my journey, that started about 4 years ago in early 2020, right before it actually was physical healing that really woke me up. I had a wrist injury that was making my dominant hand almost completely unusable for about an entire year. And in the course of one trance meditation with Joe Dispenza and a whole little series he took us through, I had completely eradicated all of that pain. And once I experienced it in my own body, I was like, oh, I was wrong. Every year of my life that I've spent as like in this science mode of I have to see it, I have to understand it to believe it exists was completely shattered. And I started playing around with like, the step one things like, okay, I want to start following my intuition. I want to like learn what tarot is. I'm going to go into the crystals. I'm going to go into all this stuff. And I think everyone has that part of the journey when they're just curious and they're just beginning and they're just opening their mind to all these different possibilities. And I started with Reiki, with energy healing. I became a Reiki master, and as I started bringing more and more of that into my life, I noticed like all of my chronic aches and pains were dissolving and disappearing. I was the healthiest I've been. I was so radiant, and I was like, man, this is so cool. I want to like figure out how I can share this with people. And just as I was beginning to open myself up to how do I bring people through, how do I like express this and share the magic and the beauty of this, my father started getting really sick. And there was a very deep grief alongside his sickness and his passing. And one of the things that saved me in that journey was personal tea ritual. I received his diagnosis, and she held me through the 11-month journey to his passing. And I I really felt more grief, more anger, more pain in those months than in my breakup, than in like any other part of my life where I felt like devastated and torn from who I was. And in the journey with tea and connecting with nature and really grounding into this human experience through pain and through beauty, I opened myself to an entirely different way of healing. One that was less everything is energy and I'm gonna do it all on my own, and I'm like I'm capable and I'm so powerful and I'm the creator, which is all beautiful. Like it's great to step into that. But when I entered into relationship with tea and with nature, what was revealed to me was how I'm actually really interdependent with this world. My humanity and my freedom and my health and my vitality depends on the health and the vitality and the freedom of every other being, humans and non-humans. And I became interwoven with the world in a way that I had never felt before. I had never connected with people on that level. I had always been somewhat hiding. Like there was a part of me that couldn't fully come out prior to this deep healing. And had I not stepped in with tea, then I don't think I'd be the person I am today. Personal tea ritual has completely changed my life. It has given me a space to really feel myself, to feel my heart, to let my mind swirl until it finally, like, the momentum stops and you arrive at clarity. It's one of the best things that I do for myself on a near daily basis. And it's also the place where any emotion that's left unfelt, like, I can let it bubble up. I can feel it. I can cry the tears. I can see where I'm not being kind to myself or to life. It's just such a beautiful practice. And as far as my journey goes now, it's one of the places I go to connect in with one of my best friends. And it's really cool that my best friends are the waters and the trees, and obviously I have quite a few amazing humans in my life. But one thing I see so frequently on the internet when you're just kind of surfing the web, you know, people are posting these memes and stuff, and it's all, there's so much about loneliness and about feeling unsupported and feeling separate and feeling destitute and feeling like there's not ever anyone to lean on. Like there's all these memes like poking fun at that really dark, hard subject. And I think this is one of the first medicines for that deep pain for humanity, is to like come back in to relationship with Mother Earth, to come back into the remembrance that it's physically impossible for us to be alone. Like, I'm looking out my window right now and I see trees, like the trees I make my offerings at. I see mountains that I am literally living in the embrace of every single day. I'm watching this weave across the mountaintop, and I'm just like, that's three beings. They're always here. They're always here. And I can literally be supported at any moment in my life, at any time, by any number of the beautiful creatures that live here. And I just want more of the world to feel that. Because it breaks my heart, like seeing all of the loneliness, seeing all of the separation, seeing all of the pain, and the places where we feel that we can't go, or like the humans who have let us down. Because I mean, I've been there, you know, I've been let down by humans too, and I've let people down as a human. Like I've let like nature down as a human too. But I think there's a lot of beauty in recognizing that, apologizing for that, and choosing to step up instead. And so this is a lot of what this era of my life has been, is stepping up, going back out into nature, making the offerings, saying hello, introducing myself, and sitting with these beings in a way that is not full of expectation of, okay, what are you going to give me because I did this? Which is a lot of how humans approach manifestation, or a lot of the spiritual practices that people are doing these days is like kind of like, okay, I'll do this, and what am I going to get in return? It's like sometimes you actually don't see the reciprocity until you've let go of the expectation. And I feel like I've walked myself on a little bit of a loop here. Is there anywhere that you want me to go a bit deeper?
No. I've been enjoying, yeah, just your flow and hearing your insights and your connection. And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And so,
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, feel like I cut you off. Would you like to finish your
No, not at
sentence?
all. Not at all. No, no, no. I was in full listening mode. I was right there. So
Fair enough. Um, yeah, I'm just tuning back into your question. You were asking about my journey and then like what brought me in particular to tea ritual and where I've gone with that. And a lot of the offerings I do now are in Fairmont, BC. I do offer community tea ceremonies, and my intention for that has always been to bring the people in this valley, in this town, and together and come into a space where we get to have a low ticket investment. You get to show up to tea and literally just be met exactly as you are. Maybe you're feeling frazzled, maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe you're feeling deep grief, maybe you're feeling ecstatic, maybe you're feeling joyful, maybe you want to celebrate. Like any emotion is welcomed, and you get to be exactly as you are, and you get the permission to be exactly as you are as you're met by this plant. And then this plant works on you. It softens your heart, it opens your body, it like settles you back into the earth. And over time, and with coming back to it and with repetition, slowly she reminds you on a cellular level that you are nature, that you've always belonged here, that you matter. And it's one of the most beautiful medicines that I can even fathom for the crisis that humanity is experiencing in this time. And so, yeah, the desire in offering it to my community every second Saturday and occasionally on Tuesday, Wednesdays for the people who work on Saturdays. It's just something that I pray nourishes the people of this valley. Because when I moved here to the East Kootenays, there's so many people who are doing their best, and there's so many people who are like working really hard. And I've also noticed that there's so many people who are meeting up with the struggle of this time, and so many people who are getting through another day and just like, you know, really putting in the work in their lives. And it's not always possible for everyone to like go out and like get hundreds of dollars of healing sessions and all these different types of things. Like sometimes that's not just a feasible option. And so when I was like really tuning into service and like how did I want to offer this, I wanted it to be like a drop-in yoga class. Like that's something that most people can really just take a moment, you know, show up with $20 and have an hour and a half where it's just for them. And yeah, that was my intention for community tea ceremony, and just having this space where whenever you need it, you can drop in and you can be held and you can remember that you are nature and that you are loved and that you belong. And as far as other offerings, I do offer Reiki sessions. I have been a Reiki master for over 3 years now, and that's something that it's again one of those places where people can rest into. Like you show up to a Reiki session and you literally just get to lay down. You get to breathe and you get to receive. And there's something so beautiful about that state of pure receptivity, that state of pure openness to the energy of love, of universal healing, of the Reiki flow. And the things that I've seen occur in those sessions, I mean, not only in my own life, like I mentioned at the beginning of this live, where in 2019, I had so much chronic pain, I couldn't get out of bed some days. And by the end of 2020, I had no more chronic pain in my body at all. And, you know, there's people in my life who are experiencing their own healing journeys. When I'm able to give them Reiki sessions, it's something like, I'm in so much pain I can't walk, to I can walk again. And you know, my dad, when I was giving him sessions, he was at like an 8 out of 10 pain, and I would give him a session and he'd go down to a 2 out of 10. So it wasn't like, oh my god, you know, your cancer's gone. But it was something that made a real difference. And that's something I love about Reiki too. It's like there's this like push in so many people to just get by, to make it through, to like get to the next paycheck, or to like, you know, if I just work through this pain, it'll go away eventually. You know, like people push so much in this culture because that's the way it's been designed. That's what the overstructure wants us humans to do, is to push beyond our means and to be working all the time. And so that's like one of the best medicines of Reiki in general, I think, is that exhale, that deep breath, that rest, that restoring, that receiving, and filling the cup back up. I know that whenever I get Reiki sessions, I'm like, it feels so happy, like so beautiful to be cared for and tended to by someone else, because I do a lot of self-tending and stuff. But when you can just fully let go, it's beautiful. And then the last offering I do is either like single sessions or full on like month-long containers to 3-month seasonal containers, where we go into deeply into your nature self, your practices in connection with nature, your relationship to cycles in your life and cycles in life in general. And that one is a lot more of my oracular site. It's a lot more of my personal counsel. That's a lot more of a coaching type environment where you come into the space really wanting to deepen in this work for yourself, really wanting to take your own actions, really wanting to change your life on a deep level through your own showing up. That's really the type of person who wants to come into this container. It's more of a, I teach you things, I guide you through things, and you are the implementer. And so the other two containers are like a deep receptivity, a place where you can just come in and receive, and you don't have to think, you don't have to try. This other one is a bit more like, okay, let's change your life. Let's like reconnect you back into the earth. Let's make these relationships around you feel like the most nourishing and supportive place you could possibly go is outside your door. And know that every single place you go in this world, you have friends, you have support, you are loved, you're belonging, you're welcome. It's really like root chakra energy. It's getting into the roots and sinking them into the earth and knowing that they belong there. And so, yeah, that one's really fun for me. I I really love to like get in it with people. As you can probably tell, I've been talking for however long here. But it is really fun. It is really in depth, and it is really more of a personal healing journey that you're taking and you're undertaking for yourself.
That I would imagine creates sustainable change. It's not a quick fix. It's like, this is, your cycles. And these are the ways that you can tap back in when when you fall off of something, you're in a good space and something happens and it deters you. I would imagine having those tools helps a person kind of come back to themselves in a very sustainable way.
Yeah, absolutely. It is like, and it's also, yes, coming back to yourself in a very sustainable way. It's also a lot more compassion and love for yourself for where you are at the cycle. One of the things in our society that has, I mean, you can see it everywhere, is the constant desire for it to be summer. People cry when the snow arrives. People are freaking out. They're like, no, it needs to be summer all the time. No, I want to be happy all the time. No, I want it to be a sunny day all the time. Like,
Yeah.
that's not life. And so if you're in a personal cycle where you're feeling grief, or you're feeling frustration, or you're feeling any of these different things, all of these emotions, first of all, have wisdom for you. Like anger shows you where you need boundaries. And it's not like the boundary doesn't exist and like you have to erect a fully new boundary. It's actually, hey, I'm angry because you've crossed a boundary that already existed. And I just didn't voice it or stop you before you did. Right? So like there's so much wisdom here. But if someone's like, oh, I'm angry, I'm a bad person because I'm angry and I'm struggling and like, oh my God, like now I'm going to be hard on myself, right? When it's like, no, this is showing you something, this is showing you something else. And your winters, your internal winters in your life, whichever, like we are always in 10,000 cycles all at once. Like we're in our menstrual
Yeah.
cycle, we're in the moon cycles, we're in our, you know, circadian cycles, we're in the yearly cycle. Like that's already many, and there's many more. And so you can't always be in like, okay, I'm tracking my cycle and I'm exactly here right now. It's like in different cycles will be louder at different times. But when you have that awareness of the circle, when you can see very clearly, okay, I'm in a winter moment, like what life is calling for me is to come inward, to be still, to be quiet, to be restful, to receive what life has given me, to integrate, and then know that spring is coming. That's one of the hardest places for people, is to like actually let the full death occur, actually let the winter complete before spring returns. There's so many people who are like, okay, I'm gonna start now. January 1st, let's go. New year, new me. Let's work out. Like it's not really, and like some years that might be true for you based on the thousands of cycles, but some years it might not be, right? And there is an actual, genuine, natural returning of spring always, if you let yourself get there. And it's something that is actually one of the most beautiful feelings when you're sitting in the winter and when that moment arrives, and the clarity and the brightness. It's like, it honestly feels in my body like the moment the sun peeks over the mountain. Like, oh, there it is. And it's undeniable. And so, yeah, this work in this final offering is really about grounding you into the inner cycles, the inner rhythms, the nature self, the primal body. There's a lot of emotional intelligence work. There's a lot of embodiment and reconnection to your physical vessel and the world at large. And the biggest central theme and seed for it really is connection. It's finding connections in the places where we've lost it. And it's remembering that we are endlessly woven into a web of all beings and all life, and that when we move, we vibrate the whole web. And when others move in the web, they impact us and they vibrate through us. And we can use that for deep, beautiful, positive, world-changing momentum as humanity, and not let it always be, you know, like the news waves and all of those things that are coming through this web and paralyzing so many of us, right? It's like, how can we actually be that single positive grassroots movement of, I'm going to choose to be in love with life. I'm going to choose to make offerings of the stream and thank the waters for everything they do. I'm going to choose to return as much as I can to the earth in thanks for all that I've been given. Right? They're small choices, but they make a world of difference. And that's like my deepest prayer, is to connect people back into that.
Love that. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anywhere else that you feel like you'd love to receive clarity? Or I'm feeling like that was most of the transmission that wanted to go.
And I feel that way too. I feel that way too. I'm just like complete. I feel. So beautiful.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for sharing. How do do we get in touch with you? How do we find you? How do we connect with what you have to offer?
Absolutely. So most of my offerings are shared on my Instagram account, which is at Kristen Wesenberg. Probably be linked up in this live too. As far as signing up for anything, there's links on the booking tree. I'm always open to a DM. Like if you want to send me a message, if you want to connect, if you want to talk about anything that maybe this brought up in you, this conversation, that would be awesome. I love DMs. Like send them my way. And beyond that, I will be getting a little bit more active on this platform as well, more posting, more sharing. I have been in a very particular process this past month for my own physical body and opening and life. And so I've taken a little bit of a hiatus, but I'm coming back today in a lot of new ways. And so I'm excited to connect with you here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
It's
having me.
so good to see you and so good to connect with you. And thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Bye.
Bye.